What's going on, guys? Now, I did a video a few months ago. I'll link it somewhere at the top, I guess, if you guys haven't seen it, but it was talking about my initial impressions of the Switch 2, what I thought about it. And the thing about it is, all these months later, I'm kind of giving, I guess, like kind of an update, but the buyer's remorse that maybe I might have, and maybe you guys have, or if you're looking at buying a Switch, some things to kind of think about. Now, I'll give you guys an honest thought on this. As far as the hardware goes, for the most part, I love the hardware. I have no issues with the screen. I haven't had any issues with overheating. I took Cyberpunk 2077 on a flight with me, played it for a few hours straight. Didn't really overheat. The battery did last, but by the time the plane landed, it was about time to charge that device back up again. But I really haven't had any issues with it. For the most part, everything about the device, hardware-wise, has been great to me and has been an improvement over the original Nintendo Switch. Now, if anything, I would definitely want new Joy-Cons. It's just, they're horrible to hold after so long. Now, you can easily fix that with certain grips and things like that. That's really my biggest complaint when it comes to the hardware. I even think like the microphone on this thing is extremely good. The problem I have with the Nintendo Switch comes down to literally just the software. Now, I can spend time talking about how the UI is boring and they never updated it, which they really need to do. I can also talk about how I personally feel Nintendo should have took more time to get third-party app support on here. Instead of trying to nickel and dime you with their own party chat system, they should have put things like Discord on here so that you could play more of these cross-play games with your friends in Discord chat and not be left out or have to use a third-party device. I can spend a lot of time on things like that. But the biggest thing about this video and the problem that a lot of people are going to have is going to boil down to the game support that it has. Now, in fairness, Nintendo has took a lot of time to make sure that more third-party games are on here. But at the same time, I personally can't say that for me, it's worth of an upgrade because of the games that they have and because of the lineup that they're talking about. Now, obviously right out the gate, Mario Kart World was fun when it came out and a lot of people bought Mario Kart World, and I think Mario Kart World is a good game. I still think it's a good game. The problem is that feeling doesn't last that long. Unless you are a huge Mario Kart fan, very quickly, I feel like you're going to get very tired of the game. You're going to feel like you have done everything that you want to do in Mario Kart World. On top of that, there is a huge pool of people that think that Mario Kart 8 is better. Now, that's a personal preference. Some people will feel like that way, some people don't. I'm kind of on the fence, but I've never been a huge Mario Kart fan as well. One of my favorite Mario Kart games is Mario Kart Double Dash on the GameCube. I don't know how people feel about that game, you know, collectively, but I loved it. Maybe it's nostalgia. I don't know. But outside of that, the only other mainline Nintendo game that came out, like first party game, has been Donkey Kong Bonanza. And I do feel like this is a really, really good game, and I actually did really enjoy it. Though, I only played it for a few hours. I never beat it. I'm not even nowhere close to the halfway mark. But I did put a huge chunk of time in it. Maybe that was just because I was just running around the map destroying everything, and that maybe what took so much time away from it. But even though I think this is a really, really good game, I don't think this is a console selling game, in all honesty. I would say if you already have a Switch 2, this should be in your lineup, especially if you're a fan of platformers. But if you don't have a Switch 2, I don't feel like this will be the game that's going to make you buy a Switch 2. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. We kind of get a good look of the games that are coming out for the foreseeable future on the Nintendo Switch. And here are the games. The other thing is Metroid Prime does come out later this year. Metroid Prime 4 is available on the Nintendo Switch 1. So again, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to go out and buy a Switch 2. So it's not really a console seller in my opinion. Me personally, I haven't beat this one. I didn't grow up on Metroid Prime. I really wanted to. I don't know why I never got the game. I never got Metroid Prime 1. I never bought 2 or 3, which I know a lot of people didn't care for 3, but I never bought any of those. I'm still playing through Metroid Prime Remaster. So maybe I'll have it beat by the time Metroid Prime 4 comes out. Maybe not. I don't know. That's more of a me problem. That's not necessarily a you guys problem, or should you not buy this system because of that? That's just where I stand on it. And then on top of all of that, I know you guys are going to hate me for this. I actually never beat Fire Emblem Three Houses. I actually love this game. I'm like deep into the game. I'm past the time skip and all that stuff like that. I just never finished it, and I really need to finish this game. But I'm actually looking forward to the next Fire Emblem game. The game looks great. If I didn't have a Switch, would I buy a Switch for that game? Probably not. As far as JRPG goes, I own every system out there, and I have a plethora of JRPG games that I've been wanting to play and wanting to get through. It wouldn't be a rush for me to go out and buy Fire Emblem because there's so many of those type of games that I still haven't beat yet that it could kind of hold me off. Now, maybe this next Fire Emblem game will be like the game, and you may have to get it. But the thing is, outside of that, I don't really see a lot of other things that are in the Nintendo Switch lineup that are just super exciting me. And then with all that being the case, Nintendo's greed is kind of getting in the way. Games like Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 being released at $70 for a game that is like a billion years old blows my mind. Now, the thing is, I love buying physical copies for the Nintendo Switch, if anything. I have a bunch of Nintendo Switch games that are physical. I have a bunch of digital too. But when it comes to Nintendo's first party games, I usually buy those physical because Nintendo does like to put the entire game on the cartridge, which I love because I don't feel 100% safe with Nintendo's past history with closing down e-stores and, you know, potentially you never buy a game again. Now, third party games do that as well. Cyberpunk does include the entire game on there, but a lot of other third-party games don't. It's digital downloads, which also goes into the reason why I don't buy a lot of third-party games for my Switch. Now, I'll get more into that in 1 second, but back to this game real quick. I believe you can buy Super Mario Galaxy 2 digitally. I would much prefer to buy that physical. I just don't plan on spending $70 on half of a game because, again, I already own one half. I don't really see the reason to buy the other half. And also, to my knowledge, I don't think they've done anything different between Super Mario Galaxy on this one to the one that they just re-released again. I don't know. It's just kind of weird to me how Nintendo's moving. My Nintendo Switch has kind of been relegated to a Nintendo-only platform. I have multiple devices. I have the Xbox Allies getting here. I have a couple of them coming. And if I want to play something mobile, I'll have those devices. I have Steam on this computer. I play a lot of Steam games, so I have a huge Steam library, a few hundred games on there that I can play when my Xbox Ally gets here. I already have an Xbox Series X with a huge list of games on there. I have a PlayStation 5 with a Portal, and I know the games aren't locally on the Portal. I have to stream them from either the system or the service. But that's where I get my PlayStation games fixed. My Nintendo system is heavily just becoming a Nintendo-only system. My personal thought process is, if you're buying a third-party game, there's not a huge incentive to buy it on the Switch unless the Switch is the only handheld device you have, because we are going more into a day and age where handhelds are super important. Now, the great thing about the Switch is because of the price of all these handhelds and tariffs and everything going on, is one of the cheaper handheld options out there. I think the only other handheld that is beating it is the Steam Deck. But the fact that you can get a Nintendo Switch for $450 as of right now, because I'll give you my thoughts on that in a second. The fact that you can get a Nintendo Switch for $450 and you get so much in it. You know, you can play so many different games, third-party games. I'm sure more third-party games are going to come to the Switch too. That could be a really good deal. Xbox's cheapest handheld that they're coming out with, you know, in partnership with Asus or whatever, is $600. The next one is $1,000. Then you have things like the Lenovo Legion Go, for example, and that thing's like, what, over $1,000 or something? I know there's other handhelds out there. I can't think of the long list of PC handhelds they have, but handheld prices are getting very, very expensive. And, you know, if you want to get into handheld gaming and not break the bank, then the Switch 2 may be a great option, especially with them adding more third-party support. Just know you're going to be very limited to a lot of different things. Like I brought out earlier, you're not going to be able to use Discord with all your friends. If all your friends are on Discord, you're not going to be able to do that. Games like Borderlands 4 got super delayed. Elden Ring has a lot of performance issues. Last I seen, other popular games that are coming out like Battlefield 6, I don't think they're getting a Switch port. The sports games, to my knowledge, are not cross-play. Games like NBA 2K25-26, I'm pretty sure it's not cross-play with the console and PC versions. And then you still have other big, huge games, love them or hate them, like Call of Duty. I know a lot of people don't care for it, or at least they complain about it online, even though it still stays like the most popular selling games. I don't know how that works. But at the end of the day, those games are not on the Switch 2. And we don't know when they will be on the Switch 2. But like I said, the Switch 2 does have a growing library of games. It's just, for me, I really don't see them. And outside of the games I already own and a couple of games coming out, there's really nothing else left. The only thing I have left to look forward to on the Switch 2 is Metroid Prime, which again, I feel kind of meh on, and Fire Emblem. That's about it. There's been no word on the next Zelda game, which I'm not expecting necessarily a Zelda mainline game as of right now. Tears of the Kingdom came out like, what was it, 2 years ago or something like that? So I'm not necessarily expecting that, but like a lot of their big properties, like their mainline Mario games or another Luigi's Mansion or whatever the case may be, I'm just not seeing it there. And then on top of all of that, their subscription service, even though it's the cheapest, even though they raise prices, it's still just not doing a lot for me. They have like the GameCube Online, which is again is just a service that plays all old games, but they haven't even updated it that much with stuff yet. So instead of rambling on and on about the Switch 2 and all the software issues I'm having with it, because I think you guys get the point, the Switch 2 is a great device. I personally feel hardware-wise is great. I feel that it is very comparable to an Xbox Series S. If you are not huge into graphics, this is a great device on top of the fact that it is one of the cheaper options. Now, if you're looking for a handheld, I would probably still lean to getting a Steam Deck over a Switch 2 because it is cheaper and it has a much more bigger library. If you're a Nintendo diehard, like I said in my last video, you probably already own a Switch 2. So that probably won't matter much to you. But if you're looking to buy a Switch 2, you look at the lineup that's coming, and that can kind of give you a good decision on is it worth buying. Now, the one caveat I'm going to end on, the one huge caveat that I will say, why you may want to run out and buy a Switch 2 if you're remotely thinking about buying a Switch 2 is tariffs. I can almost guarantee you that the price of the Switch 2 is going to go up, which is going to be crazy to me, but it's probably going to be $500, if not more, because every company is increasing the price of the handhelds. And I know Nintendo was rushing to get a huge mass ton of handhelds in the country before the tariffs hit. I feel at some point in time it's going to happen. Or even if it isn't because of tariffs, they'll say it is. Xbox, PlayStation, everyone is raising the price of their hardware. Xbox getting a little ridiculous on it. That's a whole nother video that I will be doing. The price of hardware is getting so extremely high. And if you guys are remotely thinking about buying a Switch 2, buy it to protect you, I guess you could say. But outside of that, I don't find a huge reason to get one, like a super huge reason. I was going to buy my wife one. My wife typically has all of the same hardware I get when I buy me a game system. I buy her a game system. But this was the first time in like years that I bought a handheld, and I was planning on buying her one, and I told her, just don't get it. I told her that instead of me buying her a Switch 2, I'll go out and buy her the Xbox Ally, which is what I did. So she has an Xbox Ally coming because even with her Switch 1, she barely played it. She has a bunch of games on it. I didn't really find a reason to go out and buy a Switch 2 for her when the only thing on Nintendo's platform she really played was Animal Crossing, because she has a huge library of my own games that she can come play and pick anytime she wants to. She never does, but she plays a lot of games on PC and she plays a lot of games on Xbox and PlayStation. So I was like, an Ally seems to be the best way to go. So I got her Xbox Ally. But that's just my thoughts. That's my opinion. Like I said, software is holding the system back right now, and there's not a lineup of games that seem remotely interesting. What do you guys think about this? Are you guys picking it up? Are you enjoying your Switch 2? If you are, go ahead and comment that down below. Tell me your Switch 2 stories. I will be very interested in seeing what you guys have to think about it. And as always, thanks so much for sticking around and watching this entire video, and I will catch you all in the next one. See ya.